Merhaba arkadaşlar, hepiniz IEFT Talks webinarlarına hoş geldiniz. Bugün Teksas'ın en büyük üniversitelerinden The University of North Texas'ta mühendislik programlarını Peter ve May'den dinliyor olacağız. Lütfen sorularınızı questions kısmından sormayı unutmayın. Yes, Peter, the stage is yours now.
Thank you, Zeynep, and welcome everyone. Let me share my screen so you can see the presentation. All right, just checking. Can everyone see the green slides?
Yes, we can see.
Wonderful. So welcome everyone. My name is Peter. I'm joined by my colleague May. We are at the University of North Texas, UNT. And my role is I'm the Director of International Student Recruitment. And May is our senior international recruiter, person who goes all over the world to come and bring good information to you about studying in the US. We're delighted to work today with IEFT. They are a wonderful partner for us in Turkey to give you guys the really good information about admissions to US universities. So thank you to IEFT for being such a great partner to us. So University of North Texas, we are located in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in Texas, one of the largest cities in the US. If you took a pin and you stuck it in the middle of the map of the US, a little bit towards the south, you would be in Dallas-Fort Worth. If Dallas-Fort Worth was a country, it'd be the 10th largest economy in the world. And the reason for that is mainly this. We are very connected to the rest of the world through this huge economic motor called Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. Dallas-Fort Worth, 7 separate runways, 50 million people per year come through this. And this is why many of the world's leading companies are located right on our doorstep here in Dallas. Dallas, lots of head offices of companies here, tech companies like Dell Computers, high-tech production companies as well, like Bell Helicopter. And we are located just a little bit north of this big city center in a nice student suburb called Denton, Texas. You see the town square here. Wonderful environment for students to study with lots of restaurants and places where they play music. Really fun environment. And our campus is one of the largest campuses in Texas. We are a public research university, about 40,000 students, about 3,000 international students. At the moment, more than 40 students from Turkey. And the ranking that really matters to us is the Carnegie Foundation ranking. We are a research-focused university, and so we are a Carnegie Tier 1 university, meaning we're in the top 3% of research universities in the US. So the topic of our chat tonight is about engineering. The engineering discipline is very fast developing, and as companies come out of the pandemic and as companies start to think about hiring again, they're going to hire students for the new economy and for the new engineering disciplines. And so we wanted to help you tonight to make a great choice if you're interested in engineering, to make a great choice in what majors to choose, what degrees plans to choose that are going to give you the best start to find great internships and to kickstart your career in engineering. Later on in these chats, we will also come back and we'll talk about business and analytics. This will be in the coming months. So let's first go to engineering. And we wanted to lay out for you a map of the different engineering disciplines and help you make your choice as to where could you choose a great study for the future in engineering. You know, when engineering just started out, way back in the day, it started out on the farm, right? And along came the first engineering discipline, agricultural engineering. And then as our societies got more complicated and we started to understand how to build villages, we started to build roads and bridges, and along came the civil engineering discipline. And then each time a new technology was invented, very quickly after that, a new engineering discipline emerged. And so with the wheel, soon we had mechanical engineers. And each time the new technologies came along, new engineers came along too. And so with steam engines and coal, we soon had mining engineers. And some of the best engineering schools are still engineering schools that focus on mining technologies. And then, of course, we moved on from coal and found other ways to produce energy. And so electrical studies came along, and with it came electrical engineers, double E, right? Electrical engineering. And each time new technologies, our societies became more complex. We learned how to produce goods efficiently in the Industrial Revolution, and with that came process engineers. And of course, soon it became all about being able to communicate effectively. And so we started to share voice and, of course, soon data as well via the phone systems, and along came telecom engineers. Some of you may remember this. There was a huge boom about 10 years ago in telecom engineering. But technology didn't sit still, and of course, very much in every industry in our society, computers were introduced, and we needed hardware and software engineers. And then the computers got connected together through the web, and soon we needed network engineers. And then, of course, the progression goes on, never sits still. And so the data does not only just live on one computer now, but lives in the web and moves to something called the cloud. And with the cloud, we're very much into a big data world. And with that, we need data engineers. And so here's the basic progression of engineering disciplines. And I'm going to fill out the rest of the map for you a little bit so that we can discuss which engineering disciplines are great to choose for your studies for the economy of the future, the big data economy. So computers, of course, got more sophisticated, and we introduced software and applications on the computer, and soon we needed computational specialists. As the web got more connected to everything, the challenge of keeping data safe became a bigger and bigger challenge, and now we have cybersecurity as a big discipline within engineering. And of course, computers are now everywhere, and computers are starting to make decisions that really we thought only humans could do. And so now we're very much in the world of AI, artificial intelligence. I'm also going to show you how several of the other engineering disciplines developed, because at the ends of these strands, you see the great choices of engineering studies for the future. So mechanical engineering, of course, it got applied through to transportation, first to automotive, later on also to aeronautical, and of course, aerospace engineering. Very high-tech industry. In North Texas, we have companies like Lockheed Martin and Bell Helicopter that are very much into these engineering disciplines. In terms of energy, Of course, it started very much with coal and then electricity, but we learned that we could produce energy in a sustainable way with energy engineers. And then for a while, we thought we had this puzzle all sorted out through nuclear engineering. But of course, we realize now that this comes with a lot of challenges. And so very quickly after nuclear engineering, of course, we realized that we needed environmental engineers. Furthermore, it didn't just stop with coal, of course. After coal, and in Texas, we really are at the center of that. Oil was invented, and we found our way to the oil resources, and with that came the petroleum engineers. And petroleum is the basis for many materials, including plastics. And so after petroleum engineers, soon followed chemical engineering. And really at the pinnacle of chemical engineering now is engineering at the smallest particle level, materials sciences at the nanoparticle level. Two more disciplines that should be on your map. Mechanical engineering also got applied to the medical field. And so now there is a huge field of research growing called biomedical engineering. And finally, one more discipline on your map. Mechanical also developed, of course, into the robotics area, and the area that is currently very exciting and well-funded and where there's lots of internships is the area of the flying robots, drone technologies. And so here you see a map of the basic engineering disciplines and how they are related. And we're going to review and put on your radar 6 engineering disciplines of the future that you should consider, because these are really the areas where there is the most research going on and the most money coming in. And money means lots of research positions, means lots of internships available, and means great areas to start your career. And so these areas are at the ends of these extensions here on the map: artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, material sciences, and environmental engineering as well, robotics. And so let us review those and give you that map of the 6 disciplines in engineering that, if you're interested in studying engineering at the university, these should really be on your radar. And so the first one to consider is material sciences. What you're seeing is a clean room. This is a production facility where the environment is very much controlled so that there is no contamination. And the clean room on our campus, we have a center for nano fabrication. Nano, remember, the particles at the smallest level. And so you may know these kind of facilities from the semiconductor industry where they produce chips. Well, now there is a lot of research going on in these facilities, for instance, about stronger, lighter materials. And in Dallas-Fort Worth, we have very large production facilities for the defense industry. And so these are companies like Lockheed Martin, and they need stronger, lighter materials for aircraft engines, for aircraft parts like wings of the airplane. And so much of that research takes place right here on our campus in the area of material science. Material science, well-funded area, definitely should be on your radar if you are interested in launching your career in the high-tech production environments. Then the second area to keep in mind is where engineering and biology comes together. And what we're showing you here is one of our labs that uses what's called a 3D printer. 3D printing, a very fast developing technology which is a form of what they call additive manufacturing. Additive means instead of chipping away at something to make the product you want, they are actually layering on materials as they go. And what you're seeing here is one of our biobots. And this 3D printer produces artificial organs. So these are organs that are not grown, but they are produced in the lab and then implanted in people that are missing a certain function within their body. And these organs are much more protective against rejection by the body. And so it's a great step forward in medicine and a great step forward in engineering. These labs at the moment are working very close with industry. That's how they can afford these very expensive pieces of material. And of course, industry is then looking for students who've worked with their equipment in the lab and who can come and work in their research facilities and push these technologies forward within their company. And so this is the area of biomedical engineering, a very fast growing field of research, and also a field where the companies can't find enough great talent to join them. And so this is really good news for you for internships. A third area that should definitely be on your radar is the labs that focus on robotics. Robotics, in the past, of course, you've seen autonomous vehicles and those kind of research. On our campus, a lot of the robotics labs in EE, electrical engineering, they focus on the flying robot, the drone. The flying robot, of course, is again being used in many applications. What you're seeing here is flying robots that are used in areas where there's been a natural disaster, like an earthquake. And these robots have on top of them, they have an antenna that allows mobile phones to work. You can imagine in a earthquake, the electricity grids may be out, the telecom towers may be damaged. And so what first responders can do is they can put these drones over that area, and then suddenly the mobile phones from the police and the fire brigade and everybody that's coming to help, their phones work again. So an important step in allowing them to communicate. So there's all sorts of innovative research going on with drones. And so if robotics is an area that you're interested in, then our campus has many great opportunities for you to study that. Also within electrical engineering, the other big challenge in this field is better batteries, lighter batteries, batteries that hold power longer. And so those are the two fields in electrical engineering that should be on your radar. They are the fields of robotics and of energy engineering.
Hi, Peter. Could you please hide the little notification down below?
Sorry?
Could you hide the little notification down below?
Yes. Let me see how to do that. There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for the hint. All right, so let's keep going and let's talk a little bit about a fourth area of engineering that is a very fast-growing field. Remember, we talked already when we looked at the map of engineering, we talked that we are in a big data world. And so now the field of engineering is certainly not immune from the development of the big data discipline. And so within engineering, you have data engineering that is a wonderful new field where analytics and data come together with engineering, and you can prepare for jobs in the big data economy. Furthermore, two more areas in engineering that should definitely be your consideration. Of course, as all these computers are now connected together, and as the data doesn't just live on the computers within organizations, but are spread across the cloud, it is more and more important for us to keep our information safe and to make sure that people who want to steal our information are not able to do that. And so one of the areas that is growing there is the area of cybersecurity. And the other area that is growing very fast is the area of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is where all this information is used to make computers do things that in the past only human beings can do. And so the field that you're seeing depicted here is the field of what they call AI, artificial intelligence. And the other field I was talking about is the field of what's called cyber security. Cyber security, all about how to use different forms of encryption, how to use multiple authentication, how to make sure that we can all use this wonderful information that lives in the cloud, the big data, but that we do it in a way that our proprietary data, the data that really should not be shared, is kept safe. So that's the area of cyber security. And so with this, here are the 6 areas of engineering that can definitely be on your radar if you're looking for a career of the future, if you're looking to have a field where there's going to be lots of internships, lots of research money, and where companies are now really looking to hire for the engineers of the future. It's material sciences, biomedical engineering, robotics and energy engineering, data engineering, artificial intelligence, and cyber security. And the University of North Texas has programs in each of these areas where you can gain your bachelor and your master's degree, and also do in the US what's called OPT, optional professional training, which is the period in which you can do internships in companies in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Because of its huge and fast developing economy, is a great area to do your internships. So with that, we'll talk a little bit about how do you get admission to a US university, and then we will turn to your questions. So when you apply to a US university, there are basically about 6 elements to every application to the US university, and the US government also wants to know 4 things from you when you apply in the US. So let's look at the university first. At the university, we want to know in your application first, were you a strong student in the university or in the high school where you are currently? So in your current school, were you a strong student? For this, we want to see your transcripts, and we want to see, did you get good grades? Second, we want to know, will you finish soon, or have you finished your previous degree? And for that, we ask for a copy of your degree or your diploma. Third, we want to know, when you join us, will you also be a strong student when you are with us? For this, we ask you to do standardized tests, for instance, for undergraduate student, the SAT or ACT, or for graduate students, the GRE or GMAT test. And at the moment, because of COVID, some of these tests are waived, and so this is actually a great time to apply, because you will not have to complete that requirement for many of the disciplines on our campus. Furthermore, the university wants to know, will you be able to keep up in a very fast-paced English language classroom? And for that, we ask you to do an English language test, for instance, like TOEFL or IELTS or the Duolingo test. Furthermore, many of the engineering disciplines will ask you to provide a statement of purpose in which you tell us why the studies in our university and in our programs would be a good fit for you. Finally, another part of applications to US universities are letters of reference. Letters of reference where we ask other people to tell us, how are you as a student? How are you as dedicated to your own development and to gaining a next degree? And so those are the 6 elements that are usually part of an application to a US university. We ask for your transcripts and your degree or diploma. We ask you to do a standardized test, show us that you are proficient in English, provide a statement of purpose, and send us 1 or 2 letters of reference. Then the US government also wants 4 things. First of all, the US government wants to know, are you really the person who you say you are? For that, we ask for a copy of your passport. And then the government wants to know, are you coming to the US primarily to study? And that's what the visa interview is all about. And then the government wants to know, when you're coming to the US, will you be able to afford your studies? This is why they ask for a letter about your finances. This is also where you can show the scholarships you're going to receive from the university. And finally, the government wants to know, will you not be a health risk to other students? So that's what in the past, before the pandemic, the meningitis vaccination was all about. And now, of course, there are also concerns about COVID. And so here you see a map of the 10 elements that make up part of almost every application to a university in the US. It may seem a little bit complicated, but the good news is there's lots of great assistance for you to make this a smooth and fast process when you apply. And so you can ask us to assist you with this. Here is how you get hold of us. If you email study@unt.edu, that's where we answer all of your questions and we assist you to study at the University of North Texas. And so with that, we want to look in the chat and we want to see what questions you're sharing and spend a little bit more time to answer your questions with us. And so we'll drop out of the presentation and we'll see if we can come to, let's see, let's stop sharing. And we should be back to the Zoom format, the talks. And so, May, what kind of questions have you been seeing in the chat box?
Yes, so we've seen a lot of questions flow in. Thank you so much, everyone, for your wonderful question. So we're going to answer one by one. We're going to start from the very first one. And once we start to answer a question, I'm going to click the Start Live Answer, so you will know your question has been answered. So the first one, it's about students submit application from a non-engineering background. So they're interested in the engineering program. So the question is, can we apply master's degree from non-engineering department, such as international trade or business?
Yes, so we actually welcome this. There's a lot of students who maybe for their previous studies have studied a very different discipline, and they are now seeing that in this big data economy, a degree in engineering could really help their career. And so provided that you have an affinity to the field that you want to go and study, for instance, in business, you may have already done a few courses in statistics and in finance. That shows you have some knowledge of the quantitative disciplines. Perhaps in your undergraduate studies, you may have done mathematics and a little bit of calculus. And so provided that you have made a start in some of those fields, we definitely welcome people outside of engineering to apply to our engineering programs. And then within the program, as you join us, there's also a lot of opportunities for you to make up any deficiencies that you may have. You'll work with your academic advisor, and they will point to courses that will really help you make a great start in our engineering programs. But the answer is definitely yes. We welcome other disciplines.
Yes, just to add to that, another way that might be helpful is during the application process, when you submit your statement of purpose, just let the committee know why you switch your career path, from business to engineering. Sometimes they're looking for those informations in students' statement of purpose. And also another way that's helpful is through the letter of recommendations. Someone who know you really well and think you'll be really successful in the field of engineering. Their recommendations might be helpful for the committee to make a decision, even quicker. So these are like 2 additional supporting documents that might be helpful.
Great tip, May.
Sure.
Right.
Next question's about medical department. So do we have a medical department at UNT?
Okay, so we have a number of studies in the health field throughout our campus. And of course, the track to medical professions as a doctor, you start that in our pre-med track within our Department of Biology. Biochemistry is always the basis for studies that lead to the medical professions, clinical professions. But then, of course, in the medical field, there are many other studies to consider. And I would put one of those studies on your radar in this chat, which is the field of health informatics. This is where knowledge about the medical field and the health disciplines comes together with knowledge about analytics and using big data in a healthcare environment. And again, this is because the economy is so much shifting towards this big data and analytics economy. The field of health informatics should definitely be something that you should consider if health is your interest.
Yes, thank you, Peter. Next question is about engineering department. So which engineering department is the most advantageous to build career in Texas?
Yes. Wow, where do we even start? You've seen that the University of North Texas is located in this huge metropolis called Dallas-Fort Worth. And Dallas-Fort Worth really has some of the world's leading companies in many fields, including production environments like Bell Helicopter, Lockheed Martin, those kind of huge companies which are much more interested in the area of like material sciences, electrical engineering, those kind of fields. But you can also make a great start through the field of computer science. Computer science is the home to artificial intelligence, to cybersecurity, to data engineering. And so from the computer science discipline, you also have a lot of doors that open in industry. For instance, Dallas-Fort Worth is home to Dell computers, also to some of the leading big data companies in the insurance field. And so there's many applications for computer science applications.
Yes, thank you, Peter. Next one is about school dorm. So do we have a school dormitory on campus?
Yeah, so the University of North Texas is what's called a residential campus, which means that on our own campus, UNT is like a village, right? There's 40,000 students. There's 4,500 faculty members that are right here with us. And so we have a broad array of facilities to live, which we call our dorms, dormitories, right? Everything from shared rooms where with 2 or 3 other students in a common area, you share like these mini apartments, to single facilities, also to facilities for graduate students where students can live with their family on campus. And so there's many great choices to live right here on our campus. And in addition to that, there are also many great apartment communities right on the border of our campus where for a very affordable price, you can rent apartments right very close to the university. And remember, the cost of living in Texas is about 25% lower than on the East Coast and West Coast. And so living and studying in Texas is very affordable.
Yes. So next one is about GPA. So how is GPA requirement for a robotics and energy master program? Is it possible to get acceptance with a GPA lower than 3.0?
Right. So as you can imagine, there's many students from around the world who are looking to join the programs in the US, and especially in the area of engineering where the opportunities for onward careers are so good. And so it is competitive to apply to our programs. And we always encourage you to apply because, you know, put in your ticket, right? See if the department will advise you on whether you are a competitive applicant or not. And that decision is not just based on your GPA, but is also based on other criteria. For instance, if you're doing a GRE test for master level students, also the kind of university you've been at before. And so we know that, for instance, in Turkey, there are wonderful, strong universities. I personally have been to Bilkent and other universities in Turkey. And so we know that these universities are very strong and will provide you a really good basis to enter engineering studies. And so by all means apply, even if your grades are just a little bit lower than the 3.0 level. You know, the university, our admissions people, they understand school systems around the world, and they understand that, especially in Turkey, the grading system is pretty strict, right? Professors don't easily give you what in US is called an A on your courses. And so we understand that your grade point average in grades in Turkey may be a little bit lower than the slightly inflated grades in the United States. So we encourage you to apply and allow us to do this holistic evaluation of your application.
Yes, absolutely. Next question is about SAT score. What is the minimum SAT score for UNT?
Yeah, so UNT, just like many other universities in the US, has recently gone to what's called a test optional system. Test optional means we still welcome you to provide us your SAT score, and we'll look at it as part of your application. But it is no longer a required element to be admitted. It is, however, also part of the way that we look at allotting scholarships. And so we encourage you to submit your SAT scores. And SAT scores really range a whole lot. May, do you want to talk a little bit about where SAT scores start to be relevant for merit-based scholarships? My sense is it's probably around 1180 to 1200.
Yeah, that's correct. So if students are interested in applying for the Excellence Scholarship, because it's merit-based, we do look at your test score. Also, we look at your class rank and your high school GPA. So these are the main things scholarship office will look at to determine your eligibility. So another reminder is that we do have a scholarship deadline, which is the March the 1st each year. So if you are interested, we do strongly recommend that you apply and ideally be admitted before the first week of February, which allow the sufficient time for the document processing.
And that is for the start of the fall semester.
Fall semester, yes.
Of course, there's plenty of time to put in your application for a start in the spring, which is in January. But understand that U.S. universities, a lot of universities, including North Texas, we allocate the merit-based scholarships one time per year. And that's so the best time if you want a scholarship is to start in the fall, which is in the end of August, beginning of September, because that's really when the scholarships are available.
Mm-hmm. Yes, next question is about a scholarship again, but it's for PhD program. So I graduated from mechanical engineering in Turkey. During my education, I worked on remotely operated vehicle. Can I get a scholarship with this project for PhD?
Yeah, so the PhD programs, the funding is very individual for each lab and each professor and each department. And so when you send us an email, we will definitely put you in touch with the department that you're interested in. Autonomous vehicles sound to me like it's robotics and control systems, which would be with us in our electrical engineering departments. Between electrical and mechanical, we also have within our mechanical engineering, we have a department that focuses on automotives, and together with a industry partner called PACCAR, we do focus on autonomous vehicles and things like that as well. And so I think you have a background where you could be really well positioned to join a research degree, a doctoral degree on campus. And our doctoral degrees on campus come with a stipend, so they pay for your tuition and cover some of your cost of living as well. But it's very different for each of the departments on campus. And so offline, we'll answer your question individually by putting you in contact with the academic advisors within engineering, and they can answer your specific question.
Yes, thank you. So next question is from Nekati. I'm not sure if I pronounced this name correctly. So Nekati have been lived in Texas for a while before. So thank you very much for joining us today. So today the question is, do you have any Turkish representative in Turkey?
Okay,
I guess today, right?
Well, of course, there are the advisors at IEFT who really help us to share the good information about the University of North Texas. But no, at the moment, from my team, from May and I, we do not have a colleague who's based in Istanbul or any of the other wonderful cities in Turkey. We do try to visit Turkey when we can. Of course, with the pandemic at the moment, we've really been all stuck in our house here in Texas. And so for the last 13 months, we have not been able to travel. But we're very dedicated to come back to Turkey when this becomes possible and COVID is finally behind us. And so we'd love to come and give you the good information there. Should you be in Texas, you're very welcome to come and visit our campus. We'll give you a campus tour. We'll introduce you to the faculty in the department you're interested in. And so if that's an opportunity, yes, we welcome you to come by.
Thank you. Next question is about the program fees and scholarship for engineering program. So I think he's asking the tuition fees and any additional insurance cost maybe.
The tuition and fees are a little bit different for different labs because the labs have some fees as well. But generally for an undergraduate student, the out-of-state tuition level is at about $21,000, $22,000 per year. For a graduate student, a master level student, the tuition, out-of-state tuition, is about $17,000 to $18,000 per year. But there's many ways on our campus that students can also get what's called an out-of-state waiver, so that they pay like a Texas student instead of like an international student. And this can really save you about 50% of your tuition cost. And so we'd love to tell you much more about all that. But keep in mind, generally, the tuition levels in Texas are already a lot lower than on the East and West Coast. And then there's great ways to cut your budget further. In addition to that, the cost of living in Texas is also so much lower. It's only about $1,000 per month, so about $12,000 per year, where on the East Coast, Boston, New York, it's easily 18,000, 19,000, and in California, it can be 23,000, 25,000 per year. And so your budget in Texas goes a much longer way than on the East Coast and West Coast in the US. All right. May, are you still with us? It looks like your screen has frozen up.
Hi, May, can you hear us?
I think her screen is frozen up. So Zeynep, my question to you is, we have covered an hour. Do you know of any more pressing issue that the students would like to know about? Otherwise, we're going to share our email address one more time and invite students to ask us individually offline for more information. Also, we're going to come back later this month. We're going to talk about 6 career options in engineering and 6 career options in analytics, which are also great choices to choose.
Yes, Peter, I think May has lost her connection. So if you could just put your email in the chat box so that the participants can contact directly.
Good plan. I'm going to put our email in the contacts box. And let's see. We type that in. And our email is study@unt.edu. And there it is. All right. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for your wonderful questions. Thank you for your interest in this fast-growing fields in engineering. And the University of North Texas welcomes your application. We're here to help you to make your application a simple and fast process. So with that, I'd really like to thank the IEFT team. Thank you, Zeynep, for all your wonderful assistance tonight. And a best greeting from North Texas.
Yes, thank you very much for your great presentation, Peter. We believe it was a really informative webinar for the attendees. Also, I would like to thank the participants in Turkish as well. Katıldığınız için teşekkür ederiz arkadaşlar. The University of North Texas ile ilgili diğer sorularınız için Peter'ın paylaşmış olduğu mail adresinden iletişime geçebilirsiniz. Aynı zamanda sizi alttaki webinarımıza da davet etmek isteriz. Thank you again, Peter and May. It was a pleasure to have you in IEFT Talks.
Thanks again. Bye-bye. Have a good evening.
Take care. Bye-bye.